Welcome to the 4 a.m. Club. If my shirt says anything, we're talking about female comic characters today. This is the top 10 female comic characters that need a solo movie, regardless if they've had one before. I just feel like these characters need or have the opportunity to be a really good movie. Coming in at number 10 is Vixen. Only hardcore DC fans would even know who Vixen is. And she's a super compelling character that has a lot to offer when it comes to depth and storytelling. So if DC or Warner Brothers wants to hit a home run, but they have to put a lot of effort into it to make the story compelling. But we've seen it happen with Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy, a ton of characters who weren't as well known that have done super well and people love them. So these characters can do that if they have the proper director and writers bringing their story to the big screen. Coming in at number 9, representing the Teen Titans, is Raven. Raven is one of the coolest characters, or should I say most powerful characters on this list. And a lot of people just know her from Teen Titans and don't know her origin story, don't know. She has a lot of depth as a character, and I think it would be cool to explore that. Obviously, it would profit if there was a DC universe and people would be more interested in having a Raven movie. Or I know that they're making the Teen Titans movie coming up. They don't necessarily have to make an origin story for each and every Teen Titans member, but I just think it would be super cool if they did one for Raven, because her backstory is actually very interesting and her powers are very interesting. So if you like Scarlet Witch or you think she's cool, you'll love Raven.
You! I'm Raven!
Happy, timid, brave.
You forgot Dopey.
Different sides of Raven's personality. We're not in Raven's home.
We're in her head, and I want you out. The mirror you found is for meditation. It's a portal into my mind, not a toy! My bad. I want to know exactly what we're talking about here.
Hatred shall rule.
Let's just say I have issues with my father.
Coming in at number 8 is Black Canary.
Late for a charity drop-off, isn't it, boys?
Black Canary is one of my favorite characters, and it's no secret that she's one of the best fighters in DC.
And here I heard you're some kind of brilliant fighter.
You heard right.
One thing I've had a problem with is in a lot of adaptations, they kind of just use her as Green Arrow or Oliver Queen's wife or girlfriend. But the best adaptations of her was from Justice League and Young Justice. I think Young Justice was better because they showed her as a compassionate leader for those sidekicks, and they showed her as a teacher teaching them combat and hand-to-hand fighting. So those are her strengths, right? She's just a super cool character, and I think an origin story for her, a lot of people don't know her origin story, and a lot of people complain that origin stories are kind of boring, but I think what they really mean is they're tired of seeing the same origin over and over again on the big screen, like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, all those characters. Because I didn't hear anyone complain about Iron Man's origin story or Captain America, or you know what I mean? Because if we haven't seen it on the big screen yet, I don't think people are going to be upset. Coming in at number 7, my sister's really going to like this one, is Hawkgirl. Now, obviously, growing up watching the Justice League, the animated series, Hawkgirl was always one of my favorites. I think the storyline they did with Thanagar invading Earth and her being a traitor and then eventually choosing... by the way, if you haven't seen the series and you're planning to go watch it, this is a huge spoiler. But her eventually choosing Earth over her own people. You know, Shayera is just... she is so cool, and I think The only good adaptations that she's had have been Justice League the Animated Series. She's going to be in the new Superman movie coming up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Shira. Coming in at number 6 goes all the way back to my childhood watching Spider-Man the Animated Series, and it's Black Cat. Black Cat is one of the coolest female characters of all time. Obviously, being associated with Spider-Man is always a plus. And I just remember seeing her in the animated series, Spider-Man the Animated Series. I always had a crush on her at the time because she was just so cool. And to this day, to my knowledge, I don't think there's been a live-action version of Black Cat. And if they wanted to mix her with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, if they wanted to bring a Spider-Man out of the world, I don't know what they would do. I don't think that they necessarily need to have Spider-Man be a huge role in the movie, but I do think it's silly when they have Spider-Man characters have their own movie and not even name drop the guy. Or not. Coming in at number 5 is Rogue from X-Men. Man, I love Rogue. If you watch my videos, you know I'm a huge Rogue fan. Now, I'm not a huge fan of what they did in the live-action movies with her character. I love the X-Men animated series. I love X-Men Evolution. I love her in the comics. I think she's great. Her and Gambit, one of my favorite couples of all time. However, in the movies, they kind of made her just this whiny teenager that complained about everything. But if you go watch X-Men the animated series, like, she can fly, she has super strength, she has some charm, she's got that nice southern accent, her costume's amazing, everything about this character is great, and she has a great attitude about her powers, right? And so, dude, she's just so awesome. And what's so cool about Rogue, I mean, she can take anyone's powers, right? So I would say she's more powerful than Magneto because she can just straight up take his powers away. So she needs a movie. I think it would be cool if you have her in a movie with Gambit. Just do those characters some justice, because those characters, man, they get picked last in Dodgeball. I don't know why. They're the coolest characters. Coming in at number 4 is Batgirl, specifically Barbara Gordon. Anyone that knows me knows that I love Batman. So it's not, or at least it shouldn't be a shock to anyone that I love Batgirl. I think her character is amazing. There was a Batgirl movie scheduled, but it got canceled. Probably because it was going to flop, and probably because it was not going to be that great. What I think, or the way you're going to make a successful Batgirl movie, is it has to be after a successful Batman movie. It has to be after you've developed a Batman. And just like I've said in previous videos, you have to develop the Bat family, then give her her own Batgirl movie. You can't just introduce the character into a new world, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. You're really only going to get the hardcore Batman fans like myself into the theater, and it's going to flop, and then you're going to think that no one wants it. But that's not true. The problem with Batgirl's character is really all they do is set her with a different member of the Bat family every other week and have them date Robin or Nightwing or sometimes even Batman, which is super disturbing. But what they need to do is display her skills as a crime fighter. And I don't really love that she got paralyzed and became Oracle. I don't like that part. I mean, there's parts of it that I do like, and there's parts of it that it kind of, it's bittersweet. But she's a very valuable asset to not only the Bat family, Batman, but the Justice League in general. So if you know anything about DC Comics, so I think a Batgirl movie would be amazing. Cracking the top 3 is The Strongest Blonde You'll Ever Meet, Supergirl. Supergirl's definitely one of the most iconic and recognizable characters on this list. Her powers are basically the same as Superman. Some people think that Superman or her are more powerful. In my eyes, I've always seen Superman as more powerful, and I never really understood why, because they should be the same, right? Because they have the same. Maybe it's because Superman has more yellow sun radiation, or more yellow sun absorbed because he's been there the longest. He's been on Earth the longest. However, the new Supergirl movie coming out, Woman of Tomorrow, I think it's coming out in 2025 or 2026. They keep moving the date around. However, I think that the best Supergirl movie you can do is basically a Supergirl origin movie. They had a movie in, I think it was 1978, and this next movie in 25 or 26 is going to be about her trying to step out of Superman's shadow. I kind of think that's a mistake. However, if they show some flashbacks or have a certain point in the movie of her being on Krypton and show what Krypton was like, or her life on Krypton, I think you'll have a more sympathetic character in her, because she has things that Superman doesn't, right? She had to have a normal life on Krypton and have all that ripped away, and then deal with being basically the greatest hero's cousin and always being in his shadow, right? So I think that'd be cool, is if in the first part of the movie they show her not really being Supergirl, right? But they got to make it interesting, right? Coming in at number 2, you might not expect it, but once I say it, you're going to love it. Zatanna. She does not get the proper attention adaptations that she deserves. And what's funny is I hear so many people who loves DC Comics, or just, comics and heroes in general, that talk about how much they love Zatanna. So why hasn't she got more attention? What's funny to me, when you say magic, I think of Zatanna. Even if it has nothing to do with DC Comics or anything, I just associate magic with her because she's actually a magician for a living. That's what she does. If you're a fan of people like Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate or even Raven, the Scarlet Witch, you would love Zatanna. I think if they were to make a live-action Zatanna movie, people would go crazy and they would love it. She's made a ton of appearances in Batman the Animated Series, Justice League the Animated Series, the new Justice League movie series that they did, Justice League Dark. She's made a ton of appearances. She's never had her own movie, show, or anything. And I think that's a huge disservice to the character. I think she has a lot to offer. Before I get to the female comic book character that needs a solo movie the most, here's some honorable mentions. Coming in at number 1, a female character that needs a solo movie more than anyone is Storm from the X-Men. Rumor has it that 20th Century Fox a long time ago wanted to do an origin series, I shouldn't say series, but origin movies for all of the X-Men characters. They started with Wolverine and they didn't have the success that they thought they were going to have with people liking the movie. So, not knocking anyone for not making a Storm origin movie. However, I'm just saying it would be really cool if they did one. Some people might complain that I didn't put Jean Grey on this list, but the reason why is because I feel like she's gotten plenty of attention over all the X-Men films. Whether they want to adapt the story of Storm being in Kenya, then going to Egypt and being found by Charles Xavier, or if they want to adapt any other origin story, as long as it's good, I'd be happy with that. I just feel like Storm hasn't got the proper adaptations or respect, attention that she deserves. I mean, her powers are fascinating, her origins are fascinating, and she's one of my favorite female characters. So let's do it. Now, if they want to do an origin story for Storm, or if they want to just take Halle Berry, because I mean, she's 58, but she doesn't look 58. So if they want to do a solo story with her, I don't necessarily know what that story would be, or who the villain would be, or what would it be about. Now, I could brainstorm and maybe come up with something, but I'll leave that to the better writers. I'm just saying, Hollywood, if you want a diverse woman lead for your movie, she's right here. Come on.